Hello, welcome to this video. Before we get started, please read the disclaimer. Trading is risky. Please do your homework. This is not trading advice. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so let's move on to stops. When you place your trade, you're going to have your initial position, which you get into from the breakout. Or it's going to be triggered by the half ATR entry. So your stop is placed using an ATR as well. However, in this case, we're using a 2 ATR stop. So, going back to our previous example, if we have an entry of 177.1 and we have an ATR that we got before from here, we have the ATR 0.5629. The value is right here. ATR equals 0.5629. So 2 ATR is equal to 0.5629 times 2, 1.1258. This is our entry stop ATR. So to calculate our stop for an entry of 177.10, we simply take 177.10 and subtract 1.1258, and we get 175.97. So this is our initial stop. So if you were to draw that on, 177.10 is our entry. 177. $177.10. This is just for you guys to see. This is where our entry would be, and let's put on where our stop would be, and the stop level is going to be at 175.97. I think you guys get the point. I'm just putting it on so you can visually see what it is. So again, conceptually, it's the fact that you took this breakout and then you took approximately 2 times an average range and you set your stop accordingly. So the idea being that, well, if the market hits your entry, you've given it some space for the daily fluctuations to move before having a chance to hit your stop. So here we have it. That's the entry stop. So the entry stop applies to every trade. This is different than the initial position. The initial position is triggered by the breakout itself, with additional positions getting in from the half ATR entry. The entry stop applies to every single entry that you make. So going back to this, we just calculated the entry stop for the 177.10 entry. Now, when we apply the 177.38 entry, we're going to have to calculate the entry stop for this. So this is going to be 177.38. So if we're going to do another example here, 177.38 would be your entry number 2. The ATR, the 2 ATR, is still 1.1258, and so your entry number 2 stop will be 177.38 minus 1.1258 equals 176.25. There you go. So you would repeat this for each of your positions. Now, because we're trading additional positions, we're going to start adjusting stops. So let me just make some space here. When we put on our initial position, we're going to have, that's going to form the first trade of the set. When we put on the second position, as we've already calculated, our second position, 177.38, will have a stop of 176.25. When this gets triggered and we have a stop of 176.25 for our second position, we're going to change the stop of the first position to the same value. So the stop is going to move from 175.97 to 176.25. So now both positions are going to have the same stop level. When we add entry number 3, the same thing's going to happen. Entry number 3 is at 177.66. We can walk through that again. 2 ATR is still in play of 1.1258, and then entry number 3 stop is going to be 177.66 minus 1.1258, 176.53. When entry number 3 is triggered, the stop will be 176.53. Position number 2, the stop will be adjusted to this, and position number 1, the stop will also be raised to this. So you see we're raising the stops as we go. So for stops, I'm just going to put adjusting stops based on new positions. I'm just going to add that in here just for you guys to see. And so when we, and again, it repeats for number 4. When we do number 4, it's going to do the same thing. If you actually work it out, you'll see that as you raise the stops, you reduce the risk, so to speak, in that the position number 1, the stop will go from the initial point of 2 ATR. Well, when you go to entry number 2, it gets raised by half an ATR. Why half an ATR? Because we entered the second position a half ATR higher. And so each time we add it, we're adding it a half ATR higher, the stops are going to be moved up accordingly. So when you're done with the final 4th position, when you have your 4th position on, then the stops will move to the entry number 4 initial stop level. So that's adjusting the stops to the new position. Now that you've done that, let's assume that you've got your 4 positions. So you would have had something like this happen. I'm not going to draw it in exactly where, but it's going to look something like this. So you would have got your 4 positions in, and you would have 4 levels of stops that you worked through. And if you look at some of the update videos, you're going to see how this actually played out with actual trades that I've been taking. This is just to help explain what's going on. So if we got into trade number 1, this would be our stop here for trade number 1. We got into trade number 2, this would be stop for 2 and 1 because we would raise it. We get into position 3, we raise the stops to here. We get into position 4, stops are raised to here. Now, all of our positions are in, which average about this level, let's say, because we've got them all in at different levels. So let's just say the average price is around here with our stop here. Now the price is going to start doing whatever it's going to do. Hopefully it starts moving up. If it moves down, it's going to hit this stop loss, and we're going to be out of the trade for a loss. That's just how it works. But what happens if the trade starts moving in our favor and it slowly starts moving up? How are we going to get out? Now, the turtle strategy does not set targets. So we don't kind of say, well, when it gets to this level here, we're going to exit. No. How it gets out of trades after the initial entry stops and after adjusting those stops is by using a trailing stop. And you see again we have channel marked here. So why do we have channel marked? Because it uses a channel to exit the trade. Let me put another Donchian channel in. So here I've put another channel and I've put a 20-day channel. And let me just format this. I'm going to take out the background, take out the middle value, but I'm going to make it red just so you can see it. So you can see here we have the blue, the red, and a blue. Now where did the other red go? The other red is overlapping and is underneath this blue one up here. And so what happened is the 20 and 55 day upper channel just happens to be the same value for each day. And that happens. That happens when the market starts moving up. And so we see here that the 20-day channel and the 55-day channel are actually different for the highs. This high is going to go back somewhere in the 55-day range here, whereas the 20 has been set from lower down. So my point is that we have the 55 high, the 20 high, the 20 low, and the 55-day low. It'll overlap, so sometimes it seems like it disappears, just to let you guys know. Okay, so why did we set the 20-day channel? We set the 20-day channel as that is going to be used for our trailing stop. Our trailing stop is, as it is aptly named, a stop that is going to trail. So as the price moves, so if the price were to move higher, what happens is this 20-day channel, which again, if you remember, is formed by the past 20 days taking the lowest low. So if we look at it, it's probably this day here, and that's where the low is formed. What's going to happen is as the price moves up in this long position, the 20-day lower channel is going to also start moving up. See, if we look at it here, it's going to like step up. So what's going to happen is at some point, the lower channel is going to exceed our stop that we set initially, our initial trade stop. When this lower channel exceeds this stop, this will be the value that we'll be setting. So if now the channel, the 20-day low is at this level here, we will adjust the stop on all of our positions to this level. And each day, as it moves higher and higher, we will adjust our stop. And what will happen is, you'll see that if we kind of look back and imagine what's happened here, if we got into this 55-day trade here and the market started moving up, so we had set our initial stop. So let's just assume that we didn't get stopped out because our initial stops probably would have been taken out. What's going to happen is the market's doing its thing and it slowly moves higher, and you can see that the 20-day channel is moving higher as well. So on this day here it gets close, but it doesn't get hit. Eventually your stop would have been set at, let me just move in, your stop would have been set at this level here, and the next day the market would have taken your trade out at this level. So as you can see, what the trailing stop does is it slowly follows the market up, giving it room to breathe, because the main goal is to try to catch a large move. So for example, if we look at here, if we were to take the 55-day entry at this level, here's where the trailing stop would be. We would have our initial stop somewhere around here, and the market didn't hit it, and what happens is the market continued going up. At some point around here, the trailing stop, again the 20-day low end of the channel, exceeds our initial stops, and it becomes our new stop. And so you can see there's a huge gap between where the market currently is and where this 20-day trailing stop would be. And so this trade would still be in play. And so eventually the market will come down and hit this stop level, taking you out of the trade. This is how the turtle trading system is set up. It gives a wide range and adjusts it based on the market itself. And that covers the trailing stop for all of your entries.